Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and we are approaching one of my favorite holidays, Halloween. I mean, what's not to like about costumes, candy, and scaring people? I don't know. It's all three of those things are fun for me. So we're going to do a project today. It's a ribbon wreath, and I've chosen to theme it for Halloween by placing a black widow spider in the middle. Although notice I've made it kind of a loving black widow spider because I added a heart. But the wreath itself is really themed. This could be fall. So you could switch out the spider for a pumpkin, or you could often, I have made these for my sister, and I have each of her granddaughters inside, and they're in Christmas colors, and she puts, one is reds, all shades of reds and pinks, and one of the wreaths is all shades of green, and the photo of Addison is in one, and the photo of Quincy's in another, and she puts them out around her fireplace every holiday, every Christmas holiday. So you're going to be surprised. It's kind of scary how easy this is to do. You want to start first with a structure for the wreath. So what I did was, I'll pull this up and show you. I started by cutting out an 8-inch circle, and then I cut a 6-inch circle out of the middle of it, and that just gives me a ring. And, you know, if you have a plate, a bowl, anything that's a good size for whatever size circle you want, just out of chipboard or something that's, you know, got some nice body to it. Now, you need to pick a color of paper to cover the chipboard that will go along with the colors of the ribbons. If you look at mine, I could have done orange or a shade of yellow or maybe even black, but black would kind of look a little stark inside. So what I chose was orange. So what I'm going to do is just put adhesive all the way around on the ring. You know, I say this every time. I'm a broken record, but you're going to put more adhesive than I am. I just want to put it together enough for you to see how to build your own. But the idea here is you're going to cover the wreath with paper that matches the color scheme of your ribbons. So if I take this and place this onto orange paper and then press it down, and now I'm just going to go back through and trim it out so that I end up having this ring that's orange colored instead of chipboard colored. Now, once you've cut around the outside of the ring, then it's time, you need to also remove this inside portion. So I just poke through and cut out to an edge, and now I'm going to cut around the inside of this ring. You don't really need to worry about how careful your cutting is because your ribbons are going to cover over it. It's really just a reason, the reason for doing it is just to make sure that if there's any gaps in the ribbons, that it's not obvious. The orange that peeks through will just look to your eye as if it's an orange ribbon. So although you can't see it, maybe I could find a place. Yeah, actually, maybe if you look really close here, I can see a little bit of orange here from the chipboard. But normally your eye just sees all the colors of the ribbons because the orange blends in. If I turn it over, and I'll find a place on the back. I didn't cover the back. Here's a spot. If you go look right here, you can see a little bit of chipboard that's showing here. And if I just come a little bit further up, I can see another place here. And that brings me to kind of a good point. I like having the knots show on the front, but it also kind of looks fun the way it looks on the back. So you could put orange on both sides of your ring, and that way you could flip it over and you could use it either way. You could do it so that the spider is this way, or turn it, twist the spider and have it this way. Double duty. That's kind of a cool thing. Once you have orange on either one side or both sides, then what I do is right now, before all the ribbons are attached, it's easiest to go ahead and place the ribbon that's going to hold the wreath. So I just have an 1/8-inch hole punch. Doesn't matter where, but wherever you're going to hang this from, I'm going to punch a hole, and notice that I've taken just a very narrow ribbon. I think this is 1/8-inch ribbon. I've tied it in a knot at the end to make a loop, and you need the knot to be fat enough that it won't slide through this hole. So if you have a 1/4-inch hole punch, then you'll just need to make another knot on top of that one, so you have double duty. So what I'm going to do is just poke the ribbon through the hole, and I can make it easier if I use my tweezers to help. So I'm going to poke that through, and you can see that this is now how this is going to be held. And sometimes I tape this down, but in all likelihood, as I'm wrapping ribbons around, I'm going to be able to make that lie flat. My ribbon is going to catch this ribbon and shut it. So that's good. The other thing that I've discovered, it's easiest, if you look at my finished one, I have the spider that's hanging in the middle, and you will have whatever shape or whatever photo you choose to hang in the middle. You don't have to have anything in the middle. You could just have a wreath. But if you want to hang something from the middle, if you hang the spider there now, it gets in the way every time you're trying to wrap all these other ribbons. But you do want the thread to be in the same location so that it hangs straight from where this hanger is sitting. So what I did is I used black thread because I want you to see the thread. I want it to show, so it's like he's spinning a web. So I usually actually take packing tape because that's such strong tape. Notice I'm placing it so it's just lining up really closely with where I've got the knot. And I'm taping this down. I would normally be a little more careful and try to really get in here and have this thread really taped down tightly, and make sure that you use a really strong, an aggressive tape, like packing tape is perfect. You're gonna cut off anything from the top, and then I don't need all this, so just to keep it sort of out of my way, I'm going to just trim off about to there. But I'm not going to attach the spider. I'm going to trap the thread in between two matching spider die cuts, but it's going to get in my way every time I wrap ribbon. So I have the thread in position. Now I'm just going to start wrapping. So go to I know if you're a crafter like me, you've got bags of your scraps, your ribbon scraps. So pick the ones that fit the theme of whatever your wreath is going to be for. So I'll take this. Take one, use it as a guide for the length that you're going to cut your ribbons. I just cut one that was a good length, and then I used it as a guide to cut in general to cut all the rest. This one happens to be about 9 inches, but like I said, it will depend on how fat your wreath is. Will dictate really the size or the length of the ribbon. And notice, I've got skinny ones, I've got fat ones, all different shapes and sizes. So all you're going to do is just set it down and tie a knot. And if you like to craft with your kids, really they're going to love doing this with you. So a single knot, and if you're crafting with your kids, have them join in, because this part is just fun to do and they will love it, and it's something that they can easily do. You're going to just pick different colors and start tying those ribbons in knots. I usually tie all of them, and then I go back and trim the ribbons so that it ends up being a length that works. Notice that the striped ribbon has a pattern on both sides. One of the companies that I was licensed with, I had a line of ribbon, and I discovered that polka dot ribbons, if you look at this, usually are painted on, but striped ribbons seem to be embedded into the design itself, so it's easier for them to knot. Once you have them knotted, you can push them together and tighten up so that these are as tight together as you want them. You can also go back, take another skinny one and place it in between. Actually I think orange would look better next. So let's do an orange one. And I'm just going to keep tying some ribbons. If
if you have ribbon that only has a pattern on one side, you can tie your knot in such a way to make sure that you get the pattern showing. So you can see, you know, lots of these ribbons as I'm starting to build up a pattern here. They're long. I'll go back after I've done the whole thing and I'll trim away. If you look at my finished one, you can see, if I get the spider out of the way, they're all roughly a shorter length. And then I kept the outside ribbons a little bit longer. Also, you can tighten up, you know, you can slide any of these ribbons tighter together as you work, so that, you know, you really have a really full of ribbon wreath. And you can go back with skinnier, thinner ribbons and put those in any of those in between places as well. Basically, you're just going to keep creating the ribbons all the way around. It is so much fun, and it will be a fun family thing to do together. When you have all the ribbons done and you've trimmed away everything, then it's time to go ahead and attach the spider. So I'm using spider die cuts. Whatever theme you choose, just pick, you know, die cuts or hand cut shapes. You can use stickers. If they're stickers, they need to be mirror images so that the sticky sides, when you place them together, will align. What I'm going to do is just trap that thread in between the two layers. So I'm going to put my adhesive, I really only need to put it on one of the spiders, and you're going to have more adhesive than that. But if I bring this, just move the ribbons enough out of the way, you can place the spider in position. I have a black spider and black thread, so I realize that it's probably not showing really well, but the thread is just going right down the middle of the spider, and then I'm going to go back with the matching spider and place it right on top so that the thread is just trapped in between the two layers. And let me press down once you have it in position. Notice I have just a little bit of extra thread. When I hold it up, if it looks like it needs to be pulled down a little bit, I'm giving myself just a little bit of leeway there so that when I hold it up, remember these are going to all be trimmed, but in fact, let me go ahead and trim. These are going to all be shorter because it's going to look better anyway to have these not be quite so long. So you can see when you hang it, if it turns out that the spider needs to be slid down a little, I can see that he doesn't. He's already in a good spot. So what I'm going to do is, with my scissors, I'll just trim off the extra. And then in order to make it look like a black widow, he needs that little red, or she needs that little red on her belly. So I chose to make the red with the heart so that it makes it just a little bit more friendly. But that quick and easy, you can see the steps of how to create this. And if I go back to the finished one, where is my ribbon that hangs it? Once you have everything, the ribbons going all the way around, you can see just how cool it is. You know what? This project is so easy, it's downright scary.